So for what's for dinner with the accuracy in the Luth-AR Varmint gun, we of course start off with some varmint loads. Got a 35 grain lead-free from Nosler, 55 grain with a ballistic tip on it, some 68 grain from Hornady, the Winchester Match 69 grain, and a Fiocchi 77 grain with the Sierra Match King. I'll shoot 5 shots at 100 yards, see how it does. Alright, so we just shot the varmint build using Luth-AR parts and a Windham lower. The trigger was a jarred ink trigger, kind of an unknown company, but we've done some work with them in the past and make awesome triggers, and stayed true here. For our groups, we shot 35 grain, 40 grain, 68, 69, and 77 grain. Pretty much in that order. And you can see for both Maddie and I, upper left was the 35 grain, which ended up hitting a little high. Made sense. This is the Nosler trophy grade. This stuff is clocked at 3750, and that's out of a shorter barrel. So out of a 24-inch barrel, it was probably screaming pretty fast, and that makes sense as to why it's hitting a little high. Here's our 40 grain, the Nosler Varmageddon, which I could probably, between the two of us, could conclude was the best match. Kind of fun that Varmageddon works in the varmint rifle. Makes sense.
It's most pleasant to shoot, I thought, as well.
It was, yeah, softer load, and the brass was just barely kicking out to the side, nice and soft with that long gas system that we have. The middle, which for me was my tightest group, for Maddie was the loosest group.
Yeah, that was a little everywhere for me.
Everyone has their moments. That was the Hornady 68 grain, and then down bottom, you notice we started getting lower points of impact with these heavier loads, the 69 grain and then the 77 grain. 77 grain for each of us hit about 3 inches lower, whereas 35 grain hit about an inch above point of aim. And well, that's part of why we shoot all these and we don't change the zero, so you can see how it affects, what the effects of different grain weight and velocities are going to be on different loads out of the rifle.
I did have my tightest groups with the two final ones, though. They were just really low. I was definitely a little bit scattered, especially there, but very tight with the heavier ones.
So, Maddie, a varmint gun is meant to be as accurate as possible. Weight is generally not a consideration because a varmint hunter is going to be sitting stationary, but they want accuracy. They want to be able to do high round count, yeah, it's basically a bench gun that you aim at varmints.
I've never been varmint shooting or hunting. I think maybe we should do that.
Yeah, and here in Oregon, there's sage rat hunts are pretty popular to help save the cattle from breaking ankles, stepping in the holes that they dig. But what did you think of this build?
I was a little intimidated first with the size of the gun in general. I anticipated a very heavy recoil, very loud noise, and it was actually not at all what I expected. It was a very pleasant gun to shoot. I don't know if that was just in the barrel length or if that was more so in the trigger pull, but it was. I think I want to get more time with it out in the open range before I could make a definitive decision, but I think it's actually just a really pleasant, mellow would be a description that I would give it. Without all the fancy technical terms, I thought it was a very mellow rifle.
Yeah, well, with the rifle length buffer system and rifle length gas system, we had two things that are helping make that a real smooth, slow, easy action. And you definitely feel it. The chubby grip, that's what they call it, which you folks saw on the tabletop. For me, was comfortable. I have large hands, and I've always had the trouble of not enough places to put hand when I'm holding on.
Okay, Ricky Bobby.
I don't know where to put my hands. How was it for you?
You know, I didn't really notice so much about it being overwhelming with hand placement, simply because I was mostly just trying to focus on making sure I was lining up my sights and with the barrel length and everything, and making sure that I had a steady on the table type of grip. But so the fact that I didn't notice it probably is a good sign that it was comfortable.
And the stock is also adjustable both with the cheek riser and length of pull. We left it as is because we're going back and forth. Were this to be just my gun or just your gun, then obviously some dialing there could happen. But yeah, I mean, this was pretty much a complete kit, all picked off of Luth-AR's website. The only thing they didn't have was a lower, so we used a Wind and Weaponry basic GI lower, and pretty decent results. This rifle now has, I'd say, maybe 100 rounds through it total, so we may not be at the sweet spot accuracy wise with that stainless barrel yet, but so far pretty good. I mean, we both had something 1 inch or tighter, and considering the price range of these, this isn't a crazy $2,000 build. I'm pretty pleased with the results.
I am as well. I just need a little bit more time with the rifle and some Varmageddon ammunition, and I think we'll have this dialed in.